Hello and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio, your weekly reminder, not reminder. What am I talking about? Let me close these friggin' windows. Your weekly, or mostly weekly live show where we come in and we hang out with game developers, artists, people in the rough game space. It's your post-con hangout for people who are not always at conventions like myself. So if you're like, man, I can't go to MagFest this weekend. What it would be like to hang out with game devs? This is the version of it. You just come on the show and you hang out with the people here, and they hang. Well, I mean, you listen to us, so it's more like as a listener, you would just be like sitting at a table near people and listen to them, and we're here chatting and hanging out. But that's worth something, I suppose. I'm, of course, Andrew, the host of that aforementioned Indiepocalypse Radio, creator of a monthly game anthology, Indiepocalypse, where most of the guests come from, but not all of the guests come from. It is you know what it is, I think, maybe, if you're here. If you're not, it's cool. Just type Indiepocalypse. I get good SEO. Most of it's mine, I think. But that's beside the point. This isn't here to talk about me. I'm here all the time. I'm here to talk with our guests. The first of our guests, the first team of guests. Occasionally they'll come on as a full team of guests, and that is from who you may know from the game Reaper's Goodbye in issue 46 of Indiepocalypse. It's Kale, Chip, Xenophon, and Marcus. Hello, how are you doing today, everyone?
Oh my goodness. I'm doing good. I think my cat's like screaming in the background because she
Oh,
wants to join the podcast
I
too.
cannot hear
Can
your
my
cat.
can Mandy join the podcast? That's
Yes,
my cat.
permission is granted for the cat to join the podcast if they wish.
Cool. She's drinking directly out of my water glass right now. Thank you for having us on the show. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad your cat is making sure to stay hydrated for the show. So it doesn't. Well, I guess cats don't have the same lip problem of the I'm dehydrated, so my mouth is smacking constantly.
Oh no. She just climbs up on everything and then tries to eat all the substances. Get right here. Shoo shoo. She's now off the podcast. But
Oh my! Is my audio louder? I was kind of fiddling around. Is it good now?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Good. I was kind of fiddling around and drinking as I was talking, so I was not fully in my microphone. Yeah, that was me. That was me doing the thing where classic podcaster, get your face up on that microphone. I was not doing that. I was.
You were fiddling around drinking with your water glass. You
Yeah.
were the one drinking my water. Get out of here.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I always talk about this show being like, what if we imagine it like we're in a radio booth together, but now I'm going one step further. I'm just going to each person's house, and truly creating that radio booth experience. But no, I'm not in your house. We know that we're on different parts of the world.
Yeah, no, I'm a.
Fighting kills cat for the water glass.
Yes, yes. Oh, I know how to fight a cat. I can just pick them up. They're so little. They can't,
Uh,
they can't stop me. I've years of experience picking up cats.
my cat's pretty floppy. I'm gonna be honest. I
Yeah,
think she would just let you like throw her around. I don't know.
we.
I go over to my friend's house and I'm like, I gotta get this cat out of there. And I don't like chuck the cat, but I do toss it because it's a cat and they can handle themselves. And my friend's like, oh my God, what did you do to my sweet baby boy? I'm like, I I gave them wings apparently.
Yes, I've seen these sweet baby cats jump from massive heights. They're good at it. They just
Do
like
not give Red Bull to your cat.
they scrunch up.
Oh my gosh. Oh, should I say something crazy? No, but maybe I should. Oh my gosh. Should I have an anecdote moment?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I used to live on like a boat, and there was all these crazy people because if you live on a boat, like you're an alcoholic and you're insane, but you're like funny about it, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And there was there was this guy named Ernie, and he was next to us, and he was a preacher, and he lived in an old wooden sailboat from like the 60s or something. And we paid him entirely in apple cider to repair our boat. because everyone's an alcoholic, but it's funny. And he had a lot of cats. And the way he treated these cats was very strange. Like I came over to visit the cats and I'm like, what's their name? And he's like, oh, you can call it Dirt. I don't care. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, oh, they love getting their tails yanked. It's their favorite thing. Like I just don't think he knew how to handle cats. Like he would pick it up by the tail. And then he was like, one time, I wanted to know if a cat would always land on its feet. So I climbed up on this, I put a mirror down and I picked up a cat and I went on this like high construction thing doing construction work. And I threw the cat down on the mirror. And you know what? It didn't land on its feet. And I said, what's wrong with you? But it's probably because he lived on a boat and he was like kind of an alcoholic, but funny about it.
Yeah,
and he also
yeah,
loved cheeses.
He's got
Yeah.
When you live, listen, there's a certain set of circumstances that leave you to living on a boat, and then it's just kind of like you're already outside of, what is the societal norm in a lot of ways, but, you find yourself just living your best life, maybe not those cats' best lives, but...
The cat seemed pretty happy, but it was strange.
Yes, well...
But, it was normal.
They are weird. For the first time, we've had one that craves... It's like it flops over and craves its belly to be scratched, like nothing else. Like it yearns for it more than life itself.
Oh my god, my cat too. You are in my house. Get out.
No, I swear it's a different cat.
I don't. Okay, what does it look like?
It's black and white.
No.
No,
Andrew, leave. I'm getting the vinegar spray. Spritz.
Does it do a thing where it kneads at the air when you're scratching its belly?
No.
Okay. There we see. Our cats do have different quirks.
Nice.
But I have gotten cats exclusively just by them sort of wandering into our yard over the years. So.
Oh, that's cool.
No, it's not. It's not tuxedo. It's I don't know, black and white. I'm failing to recall what the patterning of it is. It's like one of those things where it's like when you like never actually like sincerely thought about something that you see every day in your life, and you're like, huh? And you try to recollect. You're like, what is that?
Is it patterned like a zebra?
No. I think it's got some splotches.
Does it have like the Adidas logo on there?
I haven't looked. It might.
It's got like Jordans on.
Is my cat doing? Is my cat an influencer just doing branding nowadays?
Is your cat ballin'?
I don't think the cat's very ballin', honestly. It is a mouser though. It's a fierce little mouser, so it's good for that. I don't think you can mouse in Jordans. I think you need those cat paws to do that. You need to be able to catch things.
You're right. Like all these influencer cats nowadays, they don't even like earn their keep. They just flop around, drink water out of your glass, and lie.
How about you don't see a single mouse head lying around your house left behind because it's not going to eat the skull of the mouse.
My cat, she's old now, and we don't let her outside anymore. We probably shouldn't have done that in the first place, but like she was very polite. Like she's a fantastic mouser because she was on a boat, and you have to do that. But she would like leave the mice like lined up. Like just lined up outside and in front of, not even on like the shoe mat, like the welcoming mat. Like she would just leave it in front of that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, you're so sweet.
They all have their own like weird little rituals to like how they catch the pests. We have a lot of birds and chipmunks and stuff, and that cat before when it was just a wandering stray cat hanging around would leave a lot of chipmunk heads lying around.
Oh my god! Ew.
Well, it was like that's how it ate, and then once it like acclimated to our house, and we keep it inside. A lot more chipmunks running around. like the spring after, we're like, man, there's a lot of chipmunks now. Why are there so many chipmunks? And like, oh right, because there's not an apex predator hunting them down.
There was I used to live. My old roommates, they had a young cat named Mimi, who's a little bastard, I will say.
Yeah.
And she ran around outside, and she did catch chipmunks and like squirrels, but she especially liked to catch rabbits. And she would bring them inside, and she wouldn't kill them. She would just bring them in and start playing with them. And she loved to be in the bathtub. So the bathtub was directly across from my room. So I'd hear like screaming and then like flapping about, and I'd walk in, and the cat's like trying to cover themselves with the residual droplets from whoever's shower was last. And there's a terrified rabbit in the room too.
They
It
are
was terrible all
they
around.
are weird little. Any creature that can just like navigate human architecture is just a weird little thing. Then they get into too much business. That's the advantage of like that's one of the things like dogs can't do that quite the same. They can't just like leap and bound around all of our stuff like a cat can, so they can get into I would say different kinds of mischief, I suppose. But but speaking of cats and the death they bring, um,
Hmm.
if people are unfamiliar, what is Reaper's Goodbye?
Yeah. I was so in the cat mode, I suddenly
Yes,
forgot that I made a video. We made a video game. Reaper's Goodbye is a really cool visual novel you can play for free on the internet, drawn in the style of 1960s and 70s manga, also known as Gekiga/dramatic picture. It's black and white. It's dreary. It's dramatic. It's about people who may or may not be dead. I'm going to be honest, it's not a huge spoiler. It
right.
has a French man in it who's aggressively French because I don't respect the French and thus will make a mockery of them. And it's a little anthology where you just listen to a bunch of people who are drinking and smoking at a late night izakaya until the train comes and then something happens. Whoa.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot more recently about this idea of you can't spoil good art, where it's like inherently like part of the experience is like you like like experiencing it personally is like integral to like understanding it. You can't be like, oh, then this twist part happens. He's like, well, so what does that mean? How do you? Uh,
Oh, I'm like so on board with you. As someone who's famous for accidentally spoiling everything to all of my friends ever.
right,
I'm like, no, it doesn't matter because you gotta go through the motions and be in the moment. You gotta
right.
feel the buildup in your bones,
You can't
which
just be
sounds
like,
like a medical problem.
right. We were thinking a lot of it when we like we were talking about Mulholland Drive with a friend, and we were like, "You can't spoil that movie." You say a cop gets scared at the end and dies. Like, what does that mean? Uh,
Like, nah,
yeah,
man, you gotta sit down for Papa Lynch. He's gonna get his Woody Woodpecker dolls and show you.
I think about those Woodpecker dolls constantly.
I always think about like in the middle of the night, like I'm sitting there hanging out with my sister, and I'll turn to her and like, "What do you think? Where do you think those Woody Woodpecker dolls are?" And then she's
Right.
like, "Hey, can you let that go?"
All we know is that they're no longer in his life.
People come in and out, and so do Woody Woodpecker dolls. Like a strange, like spiritual energy.
Yeah,
Maybe they held something within.
they live. People. You underestimate the power of objects they hold inherent meaning to them. Like it's just such we put such a focus on like trivial little things. I think a lot about like the weird irreplaceability of like worthless knickknacks.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like cheap ceramic stuff you probably got for $1, but what if you're broke and then suddenly this thing that was around a house for decades doesn't exist anymore? It's a it's a
It,
strange thing, almost as if this whole value thing is made up.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
I have so many terrible little knickknacks, and the time I've spent with them is what makes it special. Insert some quote from The Little Prince or like a Facebook mom meme.
Yes.
Uh,
That little guy on the meteor. That's what he. I'm still learning with the little princes. He's a little guy on a meteor, right?
he's the little guy. He's a little homie, little green bean on the meteor.
I didn't know he was
I think
green, or is
yeah,
he?
well, in a lot of the pictures, he has like a green suit and like a little what is it? I have a little figure of him actually, and
Oh,
on a cursed music box that every time I walk past, like our chakras like activate in time, and then it starts playing, and it's kind of creepy. But yeah, no, he's wearing green. And he has like a little scarf.
how old is little prince?
He's simultaneously little baby boy and probably ageless.
Oh, I was talking about the work. Can I make my dark,
Oh,
edgy little prince Liza P style Little Prince reboot.
No, I won't let you. I won't let you. Okay, I'm so sorry you activated me. Okay, I'm reading Peter Pan last night,
Yeah.
and in the back of my mind, I'm like, wow, this is one of the greatest books I've ever read. It has so many layers to it. It is so technically proficient in everything it does, which sounds crazy if you're like, oh, it's Peter Pan. It's
Yeah.
fucking Peter Pan. But like I remember there's like a YA novel, nothing against YA novels, but maybe a little bit, that's like a dark Peter Pan. And like it's Peter Pan and Hook and they want the girl, but they're also like mob bosses. And they're like, no, baby girl, you're mine, and I have an AK-47 and a cool fedora and a cigar, and I'm abusive, and this is why it's dark. And I'm like, no, they don't understand. You don't intimately understand the work of Peter Pan. Why you do this? And I like thought about it for a good half hour, getting angry at no one.
Oh, because Kale, it's a shortcut to getting people to give you money. Think how breathlessly people covered Steamboat Willie, but dark and twisted, so without even thinking anything about it. They're like, gotta cover it immediately because it's thing
Or
I
the
know.
Winnie the Pooh one.
Right.
Where
Yes.
Killer
Dark Winnie the
Bear.
Pooh. Also, The Little Prince was in 1942.
Yes.
Oh, and the author, I think it was like the last book he wrote, because he wrote a bunch of other like travel logs, and he like was an aviator, just like the guy in The Little Prince was. And then he like left a manuscript on his friend's doorstep and was like, I gotta do aviator stuff. And then he flew into the desert and disappeared. And that he was never seen again.
Can I to only wish to fly into the desert and disappear forever?
You can
He's just
try.
hanging out with Amelia Earhart.
Yes.
He.
Truly.
Oh, you're so true.
Truly the
Aviators
Jew.
have it.
We have some questions here. I should get to these questions because we not their indie podcast. Oh, I forgot to ask the. We jumped into it so quickly. Got so sidetracked with cat talk, and I had to defend myself in the court of public opinion that I was indeed not a cat. I think, but let's see. Likes to be wrapped up. Likes to use scraps. Has an off and on relationship with liking and disliking people. The jury's still out, I suppose, but I can't clamber very well, I suppose. But the first question, which is to say the first question I meant to get to, which is, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Oh yeah. I've known about it for like a long while because I go on itch.io, and oh my gosh, I'm like trying to think of who it was that had a game in your Indiepocalypse, but I have played several Indiepocalypse. I've always been there since like the beginning of time. I've been in your garage
Oh my god!
and on your doorstep. So
See, this was my informal survey question that I asked people to start with, and now it made sense at first, but now when people say a long time, I'm like, wait a minute, it's been around for 4 years. That could have been 2 years ago. Could have been.
it's been years, Andrew. It's time to let go.
I know. It's so long. It's so long. Turns out you can just keep doing stuff and nobody can stop you.
Oh yeah.
But we have some questions here. Hopefully I pronounced this right. From Demoiselle Yuri, which is what was it that initially drew you to game development, and how has that changed over time as you honed your art form?
Thank you, Miss Yuri. I appreciate that. I don't know if Sandy or Lanku or Marcus want to answer it first.
Oh, you want me to? Oh,
I don't
yeah, go
know
ahead.
if you wanted to say something.
I guess like one thing led to another. Yeah. And that's
You ended up in the game dev aisle.
yeah. Through Keisha. You know.
Oh yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Keisha. If you're there, if you're out there, I'll like send my psychic beams to you.
How about
I started off playing them and finding games that were part of a game jam, and then it's just like, you want to try making one of these? It's only going to be, a weekend, so it's not a big deal if it's not fun, but it was.
That's great, actually. I heart game jam. It's a good way to cut your teeth. Everybody go do it like a game jam. You should do 3 game jams at the same time, like me. It'll be really healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I often do. I honestly do recommend people at least try, one game jam completely on their own, just to get a sense of like what the entirety of like the process is, and go
It's so helpful. It's really helpful to know like the pipeline.
and go, oh, this is a lot of work. Can't just say, give me better graphics here, please, or oh, I just need a little bit of music.
Waiter, open world 3D MMO, please.
Yes. I just tap on the glass and go, more 3D, please.
Can I get graphics, please?
We have a question here from a future guest of the show, more future than you may assume, Violet. Parentheses, big nasty truck. I found the devlog you wrote about the inspirations for each of the characters in Reaper's Goodbye so interesting. I'd love to hear you talk more about that. I'm also curious. Do the characters come first with all their tonal and aesthetic inspirations forming the story? Or did the story come first and you took and inform what you took inspiration from to create these characters? Are there overarching inspirations behind your work, tying multiple projects together, or driving aesthetic choices in all the games you make? Or does that vary significantly from project to project for you? There's a lot of questions in there, but I think they're all tied together.
Whoa, thank you very much for such a thoughtful question, Violet/Garfield. If you can't see, they have a Garfield icon. That's very cool. I think, agree, I think a lot about this stuff constantly all the time because I am a terrible weeaboo and I have ADHD and I hyperfixate on things. So, as for theming, with all the games, I just kind of it pops into my head and I go, that's cool, I'm doing that now. But if I have a theme, it oftentimes features some kind of inhuman wandering person, denied of humanity, who does not possess traits that fit into the greater society. Thus, they are wandering and probably smokes a cigarette because it looks really cool.
It does look so cool.
It is a very relatable story.
Cool.
I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about how it's so unhealthy for you, but man, there's nothing cooler. There's no cooler visual thing than a cigarette. It's so perfect.
It's so perfect because smoke go behind you, thing in your mouth. I'm very cool and manly. Freaking Joe the camel would be so proud of me.
Kale, what about when you're driving in car, you throw it out, and then the sparks hit the street?
Oh my gosh, what? Yes, what if I'm in front of cute girl and I put it in my mouth and I go, heh, no problem for me, and then it explodes into smoke, and then the smoke disperses and I'm dead on the ground.
Oh, and the girl thinks I'm a fool, and I'm dead.
But what if she thought there's like a 2% chance she thinks it's cool? I could pull it off.
Yeah. In the afterlife, you're like, man, I can't believe I had a shot.
But what was the thing? Oh yeah, themes, characters that are inhuman in some way because society has deemed them as such, coming into contact with other people who are the same, and then you learn that maybe the real friends was the friends we made along the way. As for characters and story type beats, I consume a lot of things constantly at all times, and then I keep them compartmentalized in my brain. So we have like Yoshihiro Tatsumi and like his Gekuga stuff. I have read an insane amount of Tezuka and various other comics. I mentioned Akira Kurosawa's Dreams. I'm a huge fan of Meiko Kaji, who did like Prisoner Scorpion and Black Cat and Lady Snowblood and various other things. And my first thought is like, I think about the setting and the tone and what I want to communicate with that. And I was like, what would be cool? This would work for an anthology. And you get a peek into everyone's lives. Okay, who do I want to add? And then I'm like, we need a Frenchman, we need a little girl, we need a hot lady, and it all rounds out. That wasn't very concise, but I think that the setting and tone come first. And I'm going to be really fast because I don't want to waste all of your time.
No, the point is for you to be here and to hear you talk.
Okay, good. The entirety of Reaper's Goodbye comes from a gimmick that I discovered in like an old visual novel called Forest by Liarsoft. Search at your own discretion. We're all adults here. But there is a segment in Forest when the groupie are like going into an Alice in Wonderland style like picnic and or tea party, and they're watching all of these like cards from like the Red Queen's tea party do a little act. So you have two narratives going on at the same time. You have on the bottom there is the text describing, or on the top there's a text describing the events of the tea party, like the Red Queen went to get some pie. The knave tripped and exploded his eye. The prince is dead. They ordered more pie, and like it keeps cycling over. And then, well, with the English patch, you would see text of the characters talking, but traditionally it would just be the normal characters watching, commentating on it without any subtitles. But instead, you have like two different text boxes happening at the same time. So you have this repeating narrative of the Tea Party's actions, and then you also have the characters commentating and slowly realizing that they're stuck in a time loop. So you have the knaves tripping over and jumping their pie all over the place happening 30 times over. But then the people in the background are like freaking out and screaming because they're like, how do I get out of here? How do I get out of here? They're like, double text boxes. How can I use that? So then I just took that and made it into Reaper's Goodbye because it has double text boxes. There you go.
Yeah,
There's my fun visual novel fact.
That is the perfect concise, because it is like you talked about you're just sitting around consuming or like bouncing between pieces of art constantly, and then it is like how often art is just you reconciling with all these things that live inside your brain and getting them out the way you know how.
There's too much cool stuff out there, and I want people to like it. Go read Gekuga. Go read Yoshihiro Tatsumi and Osamu Tezuka and Koike, Lone Wolf and Cub, or like whatever else. Experience a lot of things.
Yes. Oh my god! If you're like, I'm a regular internet user, I like to read Japanese comics, also otherwise known as manga. Pick yourself up pick yourself up a copy of Abandon the Old in Tokyo, and
I don't know if they have. I know it's like it was put out in one of those really uppity magazines like Drawn and Quarterly, or like the
Drawn
New Yorker.
and Quarterly released it. Yeah,
they're like, oh, it's not comics, it's graphic novels, and I'm like, damn, he can't believe he like probably kissed his sister or something in this comic. This is so deep, guys. Sorry I said that on your podcast.
No, listen, I'm gonna, and also like let me look. 90% chance. Oh no, it's not him. I was gonna say 90% chance. What's his face? Ryan Holmberg translated. He fucking translates everything. Or also do that. Go find Ryan Holmberg and see what he's translating, because he's into that old Gekiga stuff, and he's like, well, sell to anyone who will take it.
Gekiga.
Exactly. It's a wild world of comics out there. I think a lot about I can't think of the name of it. Something about back.
You can do it. I believe in you. What happens?
I look at something about looking at my back. Whatever it is.
Look.
Oh no, God! I'm gonna get hit by Look Back. I knew it.
Look Back. Yes, my favorite Gekiga. Look Back. Just kidding. I'm joking. That's really good though.
It is very
comic.
Good.
So gorgeous.
It is very good. Anyway, I'll come up with it during the break. It's very good. There's a woman wrote it. It was about her. Like, I think it was like a semi-autobio or auto-bio about her life. I think it was like stuff with like dissolution of her marriage and all these sorts of things going on. It was very cool. There's a lot of tsuge stuff they're putting out. Anyway. What I highly recommend, if you get a chance out there, folks, I haven't Glacier Bay books.
Glacier Bay is amazing.
Huge
oh my
fan
God.
of Glacier Bay. Get those Glaolias if you can, if they're available. Truly, like, Talk to My Back. Yes, I believe it's probably Talk to My Back. Yes, it is Talk to My Back. Oh, I truly love that comic. It's like unstoppable. I recommend it fully and thoroughly, entirely. It's incredible. But speaking of things that are potential, We got a question here from Daddy, which is,
Yeah.
what's your favorite Gundam?
Oh, okay. I know it's basic. I really like the RX-78 too, because I know that's just the original one, but I do like just the white doll from Turner Gundam because I like everything Turner Gundam, and he has a little mustache, and he sits on my desk with me.
I am dangerously close to being like, what if I made Gunpla?
It's actually pretty cheap depending on the kit you get. Like you can just get a cute kit.
That's what got me dangerously close.
No, I want to like every time I go, there's like a Gundam store in like downtown Seattle, like the International District, and there's
Yeah.
a guy there, and we call him Boss, and he has a bunch of RX-78 just like little $12 ones, and I'm like, I should make an army of these guys. I should just have a shelf covered in like the same $12 Gundam. I could make it real. I haven't yet, but I'm thinking about it.
Do our other guests have favorite Gundams? I'll take that as a no. We have two now. Now we're, believe it or not, we're approaching the end of our time here, our segment here. It goes by so quickly. I got to close all these extra windows. So I have these two standby questions, our two kind of go-to Indiepocalypse questions, and that is, what's your favorite type of rock?
I have a river rock on my desk, and I'm touching it right now, and I have not put it in my mouth yet, so that's pretty cool. It's so smooth. That's my input.
Mine is Soda Light. I had this really deep blue stone that I found just kind of randomly, and it had this little pocket in it that was clear on one side of it, and it just fit perfectly in your hand. I also had some sea glass, but that's not really rock.
Nino, my turn.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, anything red. That's it.
Perfect.
All of Utah.
Yeah.
And the final of the Indiepocalypse questions. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
I had to prep Marcus on this because I was like, you have to pick a favorite Toho character, and he was like, I don't know what that is, and I'm like, you don't know what that is? What is it actually? I'm very curious, Marcus.
Yeah. Okay. So I had no idea what this whole Toho thing is.
Oh my god.
So I did some research, and I think that Lurica Prism River is
Oh, I like
quite
her.
cool. Yeah.
They have a great song, The Prison River. I was like, you don't know Toho? I thought you were on the internet. I thought you were a person in this reality.
Yeah. I think I like her because she has like red clothes and has some kind of like, I guess, like musical abilities.
They toot trumpets and play music at you, and then you have to dodge 1,000 million bullets and not that.
Okay, but yeah, that's my favorite, I guess.
My favorite is Koichi Komeji. I made a fan game about it, but don't play it because it's not that great. But I like Koichi.
Mine is Flandre Scarlet.
Flandre.
Wait,
Wait, what's your favorite Toho?
My favorite Toho?
Yeah.
I haven't picked one yet.
What? How
But-
could you ask the question and not have an answer to the question?
Because it changes. It changes between the different denizens of the Scarlet Devil Mansion. Is one of them at any given time. They're just like, they're perfect.
Okay, that's fine.
They're cool
That's-
vampires with wings, or they're time-stopping maids. Like, perfect.
Okay. That's you can come back on my podcast, Andrew. You're allowed
Thank you.
since you answered.
This podcast is all getting stolen from me. I'm like, I'm the one who hosts it.
Yeah, but you're the one in my garage. So.
And you could unplug my mic at any time. There's nothing I could do about it. But you know what I can do? I can go to break. Hey, Mark Sandelfunkel, thank you for joining me here. We're gonna go to a break right now, and we'll be back in like 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Goodbye for now. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Jeff Rosenstock with "Get Old Forever." Truly adding that quote unquote. I went back and I got all that quote unquote stuff that I did not have, and I was like, yes, you will satiate my my breaks for years to come. But we're back with our next guest, who you may know also from issue number 46 of Indiepocalypse with, where's my collector window? So I have all my questions ready. I have to get to me in my brain with "I Will Not Survive You." It's Violet. Violet, hello. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Also, yes, collector known online occasionally, Big Nasty Truck. People have... I've people on the show have had like sometimes people have like 6 names across 5 different platforms. And I'm like, I can't remember all these things. There's so many names. But now that's fresh in my brain, and I won't make the same mistake I made last time. I gotta know, how'd you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Oh, I think I started hearing about it like around when it first started, but I think I started following it more closely like issue 21. My friend Johnny Hopkins had the game Chestress 2000
Yes.
in it. So I think I started following it more closely then, and Johnny would like occasionally encourage people to submit their games, and it took me a while to finally do it, but eventually I did.
I'm glad you did. I worry sometimes if people are like, I don't know if I should submit my game. Like, you should. It takes you no time at all, and it's probably a lot of times it's probably good enough.
Yeah, I had a hard time picking which one to finally submit, but
Right.
Eventually just decided to go for it.
Suffering from success. But yeah, now speaking of the one you did, let's just get all the business out of the way right up front.
Sure.
If people don't know what is "I Will Not Survive You"?
It's a short narrative fiction Bitsy game. It was made for Bitsy Jam back in spring. It's about 2 people in love. It's set in a future where some like vague environmental thing has happened to impact life a bit, but that's not really what the story focuses on.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a short story about 2 people in love throughout a number of years in their life.
Perfect. Yeah, it's always a weird thing about this show. It's like you can play most of these games like under an hour, so you get a little taste and then just figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, I think "I Will Not Survive You" is like 15 minutes tops. Maybe it's pretty short.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast like yesterday, and they were talking about like, dude, let's make sure we got to beat 12 games in a year, and that's too many games. I'm like, my brother, I beat like 20 games a month. And
I very rarely play a game if it's over an hour long. I just don't have the attention.
Right. I found like the biggest hurdle of like outside perspectives is actually that everyone thinks games are like super long time sink sort of things. It's not like video games are all about just shooting people. It's more like they're all about shooting people, but it takes you 40 hours to do it.
Yeah, I feel like that keeps people from making and playing a lot of games.
Right.
They have all these preconceptions about what a game is.
The origin of Indiepocalypse was that I thought I had to make... I'm like, I want to make a game, and I want to make money because my job sucks, but also I don't want to spend forever making a game because it has to be 6 hours minimum. And then I would like give up, and then I was like, but I do want to make money. It is... It's every other art form makes money. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing.
Like, I mean, now you're rolling in cash from Indiepocalypse.
Oh,
clearly.
Yes, of course. Yes, I've got everyone who's read my year in review knows Indiepocalypse is rolling in cash. My coffers are full. It's not a negative $11,000 or something like that.
Yeah, people are very weird about specific sorts of games, like having a price associated with them. I think I've gotten comments on my games before. I make a lot of personal games, and I've gotten comments before saying you shouldn't charge money for personal games, which I think is bonkers.
Yeah, I was at a I went to like a company holiday party recently, and in like just a small barcade, and there was a band playing as I was leaving, and they had a merch table, and it's like, of course they do, because literally every other artist in every other medium always has a merch table or the equivalent of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't eat the satisfaction of a personal experience in art.
You can try, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard enough to get people to be willing to try kind of weird or just not AAA games.
Yeah.
It's like hard enough to get them to do that when they're free.
Right. That is the that's the trickiest part of it. Is like, well, if you put a dollar value on it, and I'm going from the opposite angle where I'm like, if I put a dollar value on it, maybe people will take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Because what separates I Will Not Survive You from Call of Duty, you know, is it that one of them costs $60?
They're otherwise exactly the same. It's just the price point.
I prestiged like 15 times and I Will Not Survive You. I got all the attachments.
Yeah, there's a counter. If you know what buttons to press, you can pull up your KD ratio and I Will Not Survive You. Actually, I guess there is one death, so maybe there is one.
Right. My KD ratio 1.
I mean, highest you can get in the game.
Yeah. Oh, perfect KDA. More pitchy games than KDAs. That's what I'm saying. Not enough headshots
I do
in
feel
pitchy
like...
games.
Yeah, I think more like game poems should probably have just a kind of a huge amount of first-person shooter potential.
Just ambient violence.
Yeah, I feel like, especially whenever I try to talk to people about Bitsy games, if they are unfamiliar or if they are mostly familiar with like AAA games, whenever I talk about Bitsy games, they'll say I'm not good at games, and I always struggle to explain, like, you can't really be bad at most Bitsy games.
Right.
Like, it's just not a relevant thing whether or not you're good at them. You can't lose.
Right, or the way you're bad at them is the way you're bad at like most traditional art, where you're just like, I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a kind of way of being bad at art, you know?
Yeah, I guess. But most of the time it's like, if you can read and walk a little guy around a screen, maybe, then you're probably fine.
Right. You just like, and sometimes you can probably use different keys. Like, it's not even like that weird gamer, you got to use WASD. It's just use the arrow keys.
Mm-hmm.
Up makes your little guy goes up. Yeah, it is a very strange thing to like encounter, like, especially if you go to like non-gamer events, you know, or even gamer events. Art games kind of have like nowhere to live in games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like exhibited one of my games at DreamHack one year in like the student showcase. It was I stood out so much. I mean, for one thing, everybody else had like a team and a fancy display, and I didn't know to do that. So I had a little display of zines and just my personal laptop set up for people to use.
You were describing my setup at every event I go to. So.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, people would walk by, and occasionally I would get like somebody walking by from the competitive section of the conference, and they would maybe at most glance at me, but occasionally somebody would sit down and be like, okay, I'll play this game, and then I would like watch them get more and more uncomfortable the longer it went, and then they would get up and walk away partway through. Which is fair.
But does that mean you succeeded in a way?
I mean, I would say the successes I had were there were these two girls who came up. One like dragged somebody who I assume was her partner behind her, who
Yeah.
looked very uncomfortable standing there while she played the game, and she loved it. And somebody else came up and played the game and kept like whispering to themselves while they were playing it, and so I heard a lot of like, "Oh fuck yeah," like about various things. But it was a game about like accommodations in school, like disability accommodations. So it was very funny to hear a lot of fuck yeah accommodations.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, which game
I would
is
say
this?
those were my only two successes.
If people are looking for it.
Escort Yourself Out. It's one of my old ones. I have mixed feelings about now, but
Right.
um,
But it says right here, DreamHack official selection.
yeah.
Ooh. Ooh, I'm thinking of making a trip down there this year. I'm planning on going. I'm thinking it's one of my open tabs to go to MomoCon again this year.
Oh, interesting.
But hopefully this time the airline won't lose my entire shop.
No. Yeah, that seems pretty important.
Yeah. I went last time I went. American Airlines lost my bag that had everything I sell in it.
Oh my god.
But it was a weird thing. But that, I mean, that is cool that even like DreamHack is open to, like even if like art games have a hard time fitting in, it is good to know that there are people like on committees somewhere that's like, yes, we should get these games in there though.
Yeah, I get the impression, I think I had maybe submitted it to like the IGF student thing. And I think they just like scrolled through all the submissions for that and just emailed people, is
Right.
kind of the impression I got. But there were a lot of people from like the College of Art and Design that's near where DreamHack Atlanta happens. I always forget what it's called. Who all came in like a group, and it seemed like a pretty established thing for them. And there were some like pretty interesting art games there. It was cool. But we
Yeah.
definitely got that whole section definitely got way less attention than anything else.
Oh, right. I mean, from my experience, and I have like, and sometimes I do a big fancy thing with like a little standee and all these zines and everything, but like, yeah, the hit rate on art games is very low, but it feels good. Like when you get those 2 or 3 people per show,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like there's a specific subset of games that's like too artsy for game events, too gamey for art events.
Oh, I have said that exact turn of phrase so many times in trying to describe Indiepocalypse.
Like I think I've heard you mention in past shows, thinking about selling the physical copies of Indiepocalypse at like zine fests.
Yeah.
And I think about that about zine fest all the time, that like there are so many people in certain art spaces where I'm like, if you didn't have the specific AAA vision of what a game is in your head, you would love this, but it's like hard to get past that.
Yeah, I actually I went to Toronto to CanZine, which is actually just a straight up zine fest.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, people were like, "Oh, this is super cool. This is a cool thing." Like, I think people are like open to the idea in those like spaces. So I would recommend you do go to Zine Fest if you're a game maker out there. And if you need something, might I recommend indiepocalypse.com/tape club. I mean, that's part of why I'm doing that thing where it's like game developers need something to sell,
Mm-hmm.
At like Zine Fest, because people at Zine Fest are looking to buy stuff.
And they want something physical, yeah.
Right.
I've been thinking about trying to turn some of my Bitsy games into zines, because I think it would be
yes.
pretty easy to do. A lot
that
of them
would
are
be
just
like-
text.
Yeah, and that would be like a very cool, like, you've played the game, get the take home version of it. There's so much space to like, just figure out what you can do with games and like how you can like physically reproduce games for people.
Mm-hmm.
And there are like, the audiences I think at Zine Fest are like, it is a thing I think with age, like, what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Where people of a certain age that have always grown up with games, are like more like accustomed to them being just works of art like everything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I've
Yeah,
had,
I mean, even then, there'll sometimes be people who love games who I'll talk to, where the second I try to describe any of my games, I can watch their eyes glaze over in real time.
Yes.
But yeah, it definitely is like at DreamHack, a lot of people who clearly like either were dragged along by their kid based on like their whole vibe and how they were talking about games,
Yeah.
or like worked in professional like esports competitions, would come up and without fail, if the second I described the game, they wouldn't have played it, they wouldn't have looked at it at all, they would say, "Oh, you should show this in schools," which was always so strange to me because I think it was just because it talked about mental illness at all in the game.
Right.
But
so it's like, oh, this is
it's a wild jump to make.
This is a place for gamers. This is the KDA capital of the world.
It's also like as if any art about mental illness is inherently educational was also an interesting
Yes, right.
interesting assumption.
Or as if like art that talks about anything has to be cordoned off into a little special zone. And it's not just, I wonder if that person knows what they show in cinemas. You'd be awfully surprised. Do they go to bookstores and just go, this stuff should all actually be in schools? We shouldn't be selling this stuff.
Yeah, you shouldn't charge for a personal book.
Yeah, I shouldn't. Yeah, right. That's what I always say. That I go to book signings where, once again, they're selling their books there, and I say you shouldn't be charging for these. This story's too personal. Please give me a formulaic whatever book, and then anyway, I'm picking on video games. Sorry, video games.
I love video games.
Yeah.
I also sort of occasionally hate video games.
My business cards say I hate video games right on them. But 2 weeks ago I was talking about how much I love Tales games. So, we all contain multitudes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That guy was onto something. You know that that Walt fellow.
People should talk about it more.
And I'm not talking about the Disney one. I'm talking about the other one. Unless I'm a fool and I got that poem wrong. Oh, please. Anyway, I'm not going to look it up. No one look up to see if I got that one wrong. That classic.
It actually was Walt Disney.
Oh, imagine if it was Walt Disney who wrote that. I think Steamboat Willie initially said that, right? That was his one line. He told Pete.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Telling Pete we contain multitudes.
Right before murder, yeah.
Yeah. When can we expect your dark, bitsy version of Steamboat Willie?
I don't know. I guess it has been like 8 months since I last made a game. Maybe it's time. Maybe that's what gets me out of hibernation.
Yeah, it gets you to get... imagine being on the front page of all these websites. I could be on Polygon because I made an asset rip Five Nights at Freddy's, but I put Steamboat Willie in it.
Yeah. I guess I could just like put a bunch of images through Pixie and make just sort of a really horrible game.
Yeah.
Worst Pixie game of all time.
But make sure you say Steamboat Willie. I'm picking on people too much, sorry. But sometimes you need to be rude and a little curmudgeon-y, I guess. Who knows?
Everybody's saying that.
The game market is broken. I feel like I'm just like not even interacting with it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, just very tired of it. Speaking of things I'm not tired of, finally gotta know, Rocks, what do you think of them? What is your favorite one?
I've been looking forward to this question so much, and Kale did take my answer, which is huge.
Oh my god.
Yeah, also River Rocks, but the ones with like with like speckles or some striation on them if I'm feeling fancy.
No,
yeah, River Rocks.
They are like, they're perfect though. They're like, what else? What other rock can you skip across the water? You get it, you pull it out of.
Yeah, I mean, I also hugely relate to what Kale said about just fighting the desire to pop one of those things in your mouth
Because they're so
We all
smooth.
we all feel that, I'm sure.
They're smooth and they look like candy.
Hmm.
That weird instinctive like what does a rock taste like?
I could answer that, but maybe I shouldn't because I'll
No.
out myself as having definitely popped a rock in my mouth before.
It happens, you know.
It tastes like dirt.
I bet. This hard dirt tastes like dirt. I read a book recently. Oh god, that was me. Where there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. I don't read the chat, any of the chats. I mean, both of these chats, there's a lot going on. The private Discord one and the Twitch chat. I'm usually just hanging out, focusing on the guest and talking to them, and occasionally looking up that yes, indeed, it was Song of Myself. I was right. Ringing the bell, nailed it. Know my poetry.
By Walt Disney.
But Song of Myself by Walt Disney. When are they going to get when are they going to take Song of Myself outside the Disney vault? I know it's problematic, but it's a classic in most of the ways. Just take out that one song. But now, the important follow-up question. Oh, it was a guy got a medal from a wizard, and he rubs it on things, and he can eat anything, but it still tastes like the thing it is. And I think about that a lot, and I think it's funny. Oh, I have to say this into the world because I don't have an avenue for it. But my friends and I were talking in a car once, and we thought of a guy who drinks health potions because he likes the taste of them, and that's the only reason. And that the idea of there being decaf health potions that don't heal you, they just have the taste. That's it. That's my version of mailing those two ideas to myself. So that I can use them later. But, Violet, you have one more question. I hope you prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite Toho character?
Okay, so, much like one of the previous guests, I also did research to answer this because
Perfect.
I have not played any of the games. So I looked up a list of 180 Toho characters, and I looked at one photo and a short description of every single one. To pick one just based purely on vibes. I refuse to read more than like a paragraph about any of them because I think it'd be really funny if I pick like a really hated character by accident. So my favorite is, hold on, I wrote it down. Saki Kodakoma, based purely on the cowboy angel aesthetic. But I'll also say on this list of 180 characters, there was one entry that just says unnamed giant catfish. And I almost didn't want to read anything about it because that really tickled me. So that's a close second.
That is a good title of talking about containing multitudes, Toho. What a delight that is. Cowboy Angel is see, I'm not a Toho expert. So I always get like treated into these neat little things, and like Cowboy Angels is like yeehaw indeed. Truly.
It's a really powerful look.
Yeah.
Also, her ability is listed as unmatched leg strength, which I don't know anything about Toho, but that really tickled me.
It just seems like that's the strength of it. It's just fun. It just seems fun. Well, speaking of fun, we're having fun here talking with the guests, and we're gonna bring them all back together. But first, we're gonna go to one more final break. Violet, thanks for joining me today. And
thank you for having me.
Hope you can continue to join me in like 1 minute and 27 seconds from now. Bye for now. Hello, welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. Yes, the name of the show. The name of the show is Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Melt Banana with Ketchup Mess. I played the polite version. Occasionally, I like to play the final track of what's that Melt Banana album? Squeak Squeak Creek, called Untitled, the 25th track of the album, which is the previous 24 tracks all playing at the same time. It's a true pleasure of a song. If you're just like a music pervert and you like just like discordant noise. Melt Banana already discordant noise, but all of it at time. Oh, it's true pleasure in music. We're here with everyone. Kale Chip, Xenophon, Marcus, and Violet. We're all back. Hello, everyone.
Hi, I
Hi.
came back. I have to wipe the dirt off my shoulder because I was sent to the coal mines, but it's good to be back in the sun.
How do you think I fund this thing? I see. The trick is all the devs when I send them the contract for Indiepocalypse, like, oh, this is so good. All it basically says is that Andrew doesn't own our games and that he has to pay us. But hidden there at the very bottom in tiny Texas, you also have to work in my coal mine.
Go to your coal mine, boy. That's what you sounded like.
Yes,
And it was so rude.
well, that's when I come in with my robber baron hat and my monocle, and everyone sees the true me, and I go off to the coal mines with you.
It was intimidating, the stupid little hat.
You know what you say. You get but a snack when you're head to toe in soot.
My tummy got the rumblies, not gonna lie.
Oh, game. It's too many canaries. I've lost too many. RIP to all the canaries. Lost.
Oh, this one's taking a nap. Wow.
Oh, wait a minute. Is Indiepocalypse the game dev canary for independent self-publishing? And I just haven't realized it yet?
Oh my God. We're all canaries in your coal mine.
Yes.
That's so sweet.
We're all here to say, oh, actually, maybe you can't actually make anything approaching sustainable money off of small, weird, independent games. Uh-oh. Destroy absolutely everything. Yes, see, that's why Flandre Scarlet is the best.
I was like, because you look at some and they're like, I like to scatter scales. I like to make music. I like destroying absolutely anything I touch. And I'm like, yeah, no, this is fine.
Also, I have cool crystal wings.
Yes.
So perfect. And I live in a house with a sleepy witch. Could you get any better?
I don't think they have like taxes in Ginsokia or anything. I think they can just like, are they squatting at the, I mean, I guess she owns the manor, right?
Right.
But I also can't picture like any tax collectors. So is capitalism real in Gensokyo? I'm like trying to think. I think it might be.
The taxes have been destroyed.
Flan destroyed them.
Right. Well, if you were tasked with taxing the sister of the devil,
That'll go over well.
Yeah, I see the that's not. I'm looking at Kensoku and the Heaven Labyrinth of Toho. I'm just looking at all these Toho games. I don't have time for all these Toho games. Too many video games. There's too many video games in the world.
There's only one video. It's the one that your mom got you. That's like looks like a PSP, and it's leaking water, and
Yes.
you put the hoop on the stick in the water.
Oh, there's one video game, and it's you, the listener.
Maybe the real game was the friends we made along the way.
I think we made that same joke last week, or we were getting close to it. But yeah, no, there are. I was talking last week with Meredith Gran about how, like, wow, can you believe, us old people sitting around talking about, like, can you believe we thought we escaped the monoculture, and then it came creeping back? Oh, let's kill it again. I hate the monoculture. What if we
Honestly, yeah.
What if we just all liked our weird things and we didn't all have to think about, like, I don't know.
We need to make like a little Neo City shrine. I have like a tab full of Neo City shrines. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but you loved it and you made a GIF about it.
Yeah, when I need to go find information about old RPGs, like I need to look up stats or something, I go to I think it's like an RPG Shrine Classic or whatever. I just go there.
Yeah. Oh my God. I spent so much time as a kid like poring over like RPG shrines of various from 2004 or something.
Yeah.
Like reading stats on items from a video game I haven't played, being like, wow, 300 attack sounds pretty cool. I'm not doing my homework.
All this information is still in tables?
Oh, God bless tables.
Yes. Sometimes you even have that thing on the side that I forgot the name of. That's a little scroll thing you have on the side. What is that thing called? I forget what it's called. And I'm not going to look it up.
You have to go to the coal mine and like think it over.
Yes, I have to dig a dev out of the coal mine who knows what it is. Well, that is what I should be doing. What am I thinking? Why am I not putting all these people into forced labor?
Oh my God. I find games in the coal mines. When I was a kid, I like was running around the cul-de-sac on my bike, and it wasn't a coal mine, but it was like a giant pile of like gravel, close enough. And there was like a Game Boy Advance game there for like it's one of those terrible shovelware ones. It was like Nemo, and it was
Yeah.
bad. And I got it, and I was like, oh my God, can I find Game Boy Advance games in like all abandoned construction sites? So I started riding my bike around abandoned construction sites because I thought I could find more Game Boy Advance games.
This sounds like some sort of like cursed fairy object you found.
Yeah, probably. It tricked me into wasting so many hours of my life. It's almost as bad as the Garfield platformer I had. It was the search for Pookie, and then like level 2, you just can't make that jump. It's literally impossible. I hate that game. Haunts me.
Kids nowadays, too many choices. We need to go back to. You just need to play the one terrible game you have.
I think people need to play more games that are like genuinely bad, because they'll play a game that's like really like crazy and big, and they're like, oh my God, this is top 10 worst games of all time. Bad, but like they have not grown up on shovelware. They don't know true crust.
And you can find glimmers in that crust. I was watching it's my friend and I will often have a movie night where we watch like 3 movies. Sometimes like we like to put one good one in there. Sometimes we watch a lot of bullshit, you know. And like occasionally when watching one of these movies, which we have fun watching, but I will catch myself like very like genuinely for like half of like 30 seconds going, oh, this is really cool. And then I'm like, oh no, we're back to the bad movie.
Well, sometimes there's like an earnesty to it, right? Like, oh, you really went through the trouble of making that. You like care.
Yeah, like what were we watching? We were watching like The Class of 1999, which is like a movie about kids who are in gangs. And they bring in cyborgs to stop the kids because all the kids are in punk gangs.
I'm Googling this down.
It sucks, but it's fun to watch with friends. But there's like one moment towards the end, and where the guy was like sitting out. I think he was smoking. Bring it all back. It looks cool. But he was like outside the school, and it was dark. I'm like, this is a cool shot. It looks cool. And then like
I'm like looking at pictures of it, and these kids have crazy fashion sense. Like a kid's just wearing a top hat at school. He should be bullied.
Oh no, these kids are all, you don't understand, the class of 1999, they're in the Seattle quarantine zone because all the kids are in gangs.
Oh my God. And okay, if it's in friends like from Seattle, no wonder they dress like that. But
is that what
no, this actually looks kind of fun.
Oh, it is a tough. There is a kind of movie that's a lot of fun, but not if you watch it by yourself, I think.
One of my favorite bad movies that I watched it 3 times in a day.
Yeah.
Because I was on YouTube, and it's like the anime Shin Megami Tensei, like Tokyo Mokushiraku, Tokyo Revelations. And I sat on the ground, like crisscross applesauce staring. My friend walked in the room. I was like, hey, get a load of this. And then I restarted it and I watched it with them. And then my other roommates came back from work, and I was like, hey guys, we need to pop open a beer. Let's watch it. And then I watched it again with them that night. It's a good movie. You should watch it.
I will. I should add it to my list. Yes, I will, because we love just like trash. It's the spice of life, you know.
It's like a line where like the guy, there's a guy named Akira, I think, and he's got white hair. And he shows up in class, and they're like, Akira, introduce yourself to the class. And he goes, hi, I'm Akira, what's his face? And I like computers and demons. Anyway, you're all stupid, and I don't want to talk to you. Then he sits down, and all the girls like talk to them and him, and they're like, oh my God, where are you from? And he's like, ha, I don't know. But his internal monologue is like viciously like, oh, these stupid bitches. And then he summons demons, and it's a good movie. You should watch it. It's really good.
It sounds amazing.
The voice.
great.
Oh, and the voice actor for the main schmuck is the guy who voices Spike Spiegel in Cowboy Bebop. You're like, who is that? No, no. And everyone else is like uncredited relatives of like the main director or something. I don't know.
That is like, there's a weekly, I think it's still running, a weekly Twitch stream born out of a weekly showing in Boston called Trash Night. And it is like the dregs of like sci-fi fantasy trash a lot of the time. But it's all actors you recognize, but like just in movies that you've never heard, that no one's probably ever heard of on this terrible VHS rip, because why would anyone preserve it?
Oh, magnificent.
But
Genius idea.
they're just it's true pleasure. Every third Tuesday, Trash Night.
I feel like that's the appropriate type of Tuesday to
Yeah.
have a trash night.
Yeah, you just like have it on your second monitor, your side stream, just like hanging out, and like, oh, this guy's style. Like, if I don't know if you saw this, if you saw that guy with the blonde mullet and the white contacts.
It's a good look, I think.
It's so intense. Like, and no one else looks like him. Like, why is this fucking top hat guy? I love this. I love things that take hard swings more than anything else.
Sorry, just that they're like in a gang. Oh my god, and this guy looks like a leprechaun.
Yeah,
He's got his like little green hat. This guy's jacket's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it burrows into your brain a little. You're like, this does look pretty cool though. There is.
I just can't forgive the top hat though. Like he looks like a dark theater kid. Ooh.
That's young Wonka. How dare you?
No. No. Okay, you know what? That's the young Wonka. I'm gonna watch this movie, and then that's the prequel I'm going to accept.
Yeah. He's like, this world is too dark. I need to bring what's the world? I need to bring life into this world. But he has his dark edge still. That's why he's a little stinker.
He's like, the violence, it's taken over. My friends have all died. My top hat blown to smithereens. I have to make chocolate about it.
Not the top hat.
Not R.I.P. to the top hat. Do any of the other guests, while we're talking extensively, does anyone else have a favorite piece of truly, like, it doesn't have to be a movie, but like really bad art that they love?
I don't want to say it's bad, but it was very silly. I remember for a Bitsy Jam a while back, somebody found a way to make Bitsy just loop a GIF from Morbius.
Right.
That was pretty strong. There's also a NeoCity site. I don't know if it still exists, but I see a screenshot of it go around every now and then, and it really tickles me every time. I'm not positive. I think the URL might be computervirus.neocities.org, and the webpage just says YouTube Yownloader. I don't know if it still exists, but whenever I see the screenshot of it, it really tickles me.
No, that is what's the word I'm looking for? That's the birth of, like, inspired by bad art. That is the seeds of bad art taking fruition, you know? Of like, what if we just made shitty stuff for no reason?
Well, you can't really get much worse than product tie-ins.
Yeah.
There's, there are a whole slew of bad games, but one that I actually sort of enjoyed was called Darkened Sky. It's a game based on Skittles. Skittles are magic stones that give you abilities, and it's this like fantasy thing. You've got magic and you've got a staff and you're trying to save the world. And it was kind of around the time, I think, that I first played Longest Journey, so it sort of had a similar feel, but in a much less way.
Yeah, that's a very, like, And the thing is, like, I'm looking at the box art for it, and if you like put it next to The Longest Journey, like, how would you know? They're not like.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
I found it. So randomly, when I was on my way to this computer show sort of thing, where they had like a whole bunch of like hardware and software and things like that, and randomly I found like $80 on the ground, just for no reason,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure it wasn't mine, but
Oh, probably not. I think.
But anyway, I get
Yeah.
there and there's a booth and they've got Neverwinter Nights, and I'm like, oh, I want to buy one Neverwinter Night. I wanted to play Neverwinter Nights anyway, so I'm like, I should get this. And then right next to it is Darkened Sky, and I'm like, well, I've never heard of this before, but why don't I grab it and see what it is? It's what it's like, because it's like $5. And so then I took them both.
What a. I'm sorry. I'm reading this thing real quick. I'm like, led a team of 50 people in Kiev, but wait a minute, isn't it? They called Boston Animation? I'm so confused by this. By this team. I'm looking up too much history about Darkened Sky as you talk about this. I'm gonna.
$80 on the ground? You're such a lucky guy.
It was something.
I'm trying to think if that. I feel like in my heart that might have happened once before, to me. Like you just get a stroke of pure luck. Someone's bad luck transferred to you into the.
Well,
best
I
luck.
wouldn't have been able to get Neverwinter Nights if it hadn't happened, because I didn't. Because Neverwinter Nights alone was like $80 at the time. So.
Oh right, yeah, that's a lot of money for a Neverwinter Nights. But well, let me close. All right, I can't keep thinking.
Was the Skittles game good?
I enjoyed it. A lot of people think it's bad, but I personally enjoyed it.
I feel like there was just like a period where like candy companies would just make games. Like there was like a Lifesavers mini golf game.
And there's a McDonald's one, and there's a I think it was a McDonald's one, and they used it they had a special way, if you pushed certain buttons, it switched over to this mode where it had a 3D renderer in a 2D game on 2D hardware, but it would just start rotating the logo or something like that.
Are you talking about the famed candy stand mini golf game?
I was, yeah.
The
I
game
loved
I've
that
spent
game.
a very long time playing.
I put it on my Game of the Year list last year. I don't think it even exists anymore.
Candyland.
Yeah, that's like people forget that those were Newground was indie games.
Oh
yeah,
my
Wow.
god.
web games were indie games. There's like, you know, whenever someone says indie games have changed, it's like they haven't changed. It's just that the games we used to find on like Newgrounds or TigSource or whatever, that's where we found them. We didn't get them from Microsoft showcases, you know.
It's like harder to find certain, like I remember being a kid and going on like Girls Go Games to play the same laser beam make boys fall in love with you flying around game that was weirdly complicated in its strategy. But like if you go on Girls Go Games, it's like the most horrifying shovelware of like pregnant Elsa, prom date, abusive boyfriend, makeup, healing her broken bones, dinosaur fusion, dentistry simulator. I kid you not. And like, so now you have to find, yeah, it's terrible. But like, so you have to go to specific sites that like curate their stuff, so you don't get pregnant Elsa dinosaur dating dentistry simulator.
But what if you want pregnant Elsa dinosaur dating simulator?
Oh, I promise you, you don't.
But Elsa has so many cavities, and I want to get rid of them. and I'm a dinosaur.
I watched a well, it was made on purpose to be like a cheesy bad movie, but I watched a movie called Velocipaster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's about a pastor and his parents like explode and die in front of him because of ninja. And then he goes to China and he becomes a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is clearly not a velociraptor, and he fights ninjas.
Oh wait, is one of the very first video links a Trash Night showing of this?
Oh, I would not be surprised. I found it very entertaining.
Oh no, it's just a review on Boston Hassle, which is vaguely related in Boston punk art scenes. Yeah, and which reminds me, like, there's probably, like, as that goes into my brain, there are probably, you dear listener and you dear participants, there's probably tons of like local art scenes and punk fairs and things like that. They're just like hanging around waiting for your games.
I live in the Seattle area, and if you are a Seattleite, on Pike Place, there's a place called like Left Brook Books. It's on the corner, like right in front of Pike Place, and it's an awesome place for woke liberals. And they sell zines there. And I bought a book on what's Orson Welles' film critique for some reason.
Yeah,
and it was like next to the zines. What if we could sell like game cassettes, like the kinds that you make there?
I think you
Just
could.
like waltz in.
That's what I'm at some point, if I didn't make up this whole other self-publishing thing, like on a whim, I was going to be like, this year I want to figure out how I get Indiepocalypse and stuff like into like game shops and stuff like that.
I was thinking really hard about it, about when you were so graciously accepted us into Indiepocalypse. I'm like, damn, is it possible to get like a bunch of cassettes of Indiepocalypse, walk into the store and be like, hey, it's like a zine, but games. Please put it on your shelf.
I think you could. I think honestly, I think you could. Like if
now I should try it.
If they take zines, like you just walk around enough and try it, there is like so much space for this sort of thing. And I think like the more I think of it, like the video game industry is unsalvageable. Leave it to let it rot. You just have to like build the alternative scene on its own, and a lot of the work is still there. The people have been making the games. They just don't make any money, and money and food takes money. So it would be nice if they made money.
There's so many like entry level tools for people making games, even if they don't know how to like program or anything. I encourage everyone to. Bitsy exists.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make cool stuff like Violet stuff, like big nasty truck stuff.
Right. It's just like right on your phone even.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a big computer, you know. I think I was talking to when I was talking to Pedro Paiva, people are asking questions about like his lo-fi stuff, and he's talking about like part of it is like, yeah, getting a super high-end computer is super expensive, especially like for him, his situation down in Brazil. He's like, yeah, getting fucking high-end PC, not practical. So it's like, yeah. So a lot of these tools, a lot of these Bitsy like RenPy tools are like super low end for your PC.
Mm-hmm.
Grab
I used
yourself...
to be able to.
Oh no, you go. Sorry.
I used to be able to run Unity on my computer, but I've refused to update from Windows 7, so my computer can really only run like Bitsy and Twine and RenPy now, and that, I mean, I would be using them anyway, but it is a plus that they work on anything.
Right. Yeah, that's like the tools should stay fully democratized. Let's someone make. God, imagine like, oh, my guitar doesn't work because the amps. I didn't buy a new amp. That'd be terrible. The technological barrier too high. And it's just like anything that lowers it, that gets more people in, is the better. Anyway,
get a copy of RPG Maker 2003.
Yes. You don't need anything else in life.
Life-changing games have been made on RPG Maker 2003 and lower, like just straight up 2000. I promise you, please, you can do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you've heard of this thing called Super Mario Brothers, but they did not make that in Unity.
No, yeah, like
Yet.
they made it with a tin can, a packet of cigarettes, Marlboros, and RPG Maker 2000.
Yes, they hacked platforming into it. But there is, but like, yeah, people get too hung up on engines. Really, it's like, I guess like because you can port them to consoles, but whatever, consoles don't need them.
Pasha.
That's like
I
saying,
don't know.
oh, I can't make a movie because it can't be shown in an AMC. Whatever. Whatever. I can.
Oh, you can do GB Studio, and then GB Studio like generates a game, actual Game Boy ROM, and
Yes.
then you can play it on your not hacked 3DS.
I have a actual Game Boy game from Taylor McHugh's sitting around this room still.
That's so cool. Since I heard that GB Studio can do that, I've been like, oh, incredible.
She of the ones she printed, she sent me 5 of them. I put them in cool little cases, and the next time I go to, hopefully I can. I've sold 4 of them at local events. Hopefully, I can sell the last one. Yeah, but it's like you can do that. You can, and people are like, "Oh, cool! This is a real Game Boy game." And I'm like, "I bet you're ready for intense trans narratives." And they're like, "Maybe, yeah." And sometimes people are like, "Yeah, I am." And I'm like, "Well, give me $40." And then they go, "Here you go." And then it's, but it's to say that people are really open to like different experiences, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
You should have a creepypasta narrative. They're like, is this a real Game Boy game? You're like, yeah, but it was lost when Nintendo wiped their catalog in the Great Miyamoto Tide. I don't know, I just made that up.
Yeah, people
And
do
all you
have
have left is Garfield.
The Great Garf Tide.
they're like Garfield's Bad Sunday. We have to get rid of it. The only way to do it is to wipe the whole catalog.
And everyone who was on the team making this game, all 3 guys, they all tripped and fell and skinned their knee, and it hurt a lot.
The world's mildest creepypasta.
And everyone who played the game got a paper cut on their finger crotch, and it was really irritating. So be careful.
Ow! Oh, I tried putting my game in, but it popped out and kind of jammed my finger a little. Oh no! This
I put my Game Boy in, and there was a strange rotten egg smell. I won't worry about it though.
You joke, but I do want to make a creepypasta game, like a genuine. That is I've talked about this publicly multiple times, but I trust that it'll both take me so long to make it, and you know I don't know the listener counts, but it's not in the thousands. But I want to make just a regular looking like retro platformer, but it throws up a random flag at the beginning, so like 1 in 60,000 chance of it being a cursed creepypasta version of it. So
That's so cool. That's so smart. You should do that.
Oh, I'm going to eventually. I just need time. But I want to make genuine weird creepypasta games. As you talked earlier, I do have a million little pieces of art that bounce around in my brain forever, and then I need to excise them by mashing them all together in weird ways that make sense to me. That's that's the true artistic process. It's like
I think people should wear their influences on their sleeve more. I think it's good to do so.
yeah.
Mhm.
How many of my works in the times if I could get to making games will someone look and go, oh, this person watched Stalker and never stopped thinking about it.
So true, dude. Okay, Stalker is kind of like my dinner with Andre, except
Yes.
for they're eating toxic goop.
Oh my god, and how do you like? I think about it all the time. Still,
Yeah.
it's like, and the solution in every piece of media since then is like, what if Stalker had guns and you had to shoot things?
Ah,
And I'm
But the stalker was cool because they like laid down in the toxic goop and they stuck their hand in the water and they're like, "What am I doing with my life? I'm Russian, and
yes.
the rain is happening."
Oh, one of a zine I want to make is like, you know how like Rocky Horror Picture Show has like those things that people do when they watch the movie. I want to make one of
Oh,
those, but like make up rituals for like a bunch of other movies, and one of them is Stalker, where everyone lays down on the cinema floor when that happens and contemplates their own life and relationship to God, and maybe a dog walks through the theater.
and maybe they get Nickelodeon slimed with toxic goo.
Truly,
I like
truly the greatest piece of the greatest urban exploration video ever conceived. But no, yeah, we can't sit around reminiscing about the cinema. Video games, huh? Video games, huh? Video games. Oh,
video game. Oh,
There's-
you to as a segue.
video
You
games.
know, Andrei Tarkovsky, Stalker, Ivan's Childhood, which is my personal favorite. Have you ever heard of a game called like Planet Laika? Speaking of wearing things on your sleeve.
I don't know if I have. Let me
It's
see.
like you know Quintet, and they did like Terranigma and
Yes.
Soul Blazer. So,
My
and have you? So
if,
sorry, go
if you're
on.
looking at the stream, my font is the Quintet font.
It's Quintet fun. I actually noticed. I like looked at it. And I was like, oh, I see. Um, but and have you heard of Studio Zeke? They did Kowloon's Gate, I think it's called. It's not hugely known, but it's one of those things where people are like, wow, aesthetic game.
Yeah.
Is Zeke like the guys who made that, and then like Quintet combined and made a beautiful trauma baby called Planet Laika that has taken control of my life. But one of the first, it's like you're a very crusty ass rush like AMV-ish, not AMV, like adventure game where you're a dog and you go, and then one of the first shots you experience in the game when you're on Mars climbing out of your spaceship is like a tilted angle with red dust as far as the eye can see and these strange dark shadowy metal things, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is just Ivan's childhood, and they like recreate parts of the movie from it with like 50 other things, and it's just an amalgamation of 1,000 different poems and movies into one dog trauma game. It's good. You should play.
I'm thinking of, oh, I probably should. I want to get really deep into like just weird ass, just like, you know, that kind of the gaming canon is very let's say limited. um, I want to really just dive into the full catalog of kind of just like, I do a lot of like weird like what's the thing I'm talking about, like front to back catalog, like public, like developer catalog stuff, and I really want to go through Human Entertainment soon because there's so much cool stuff out of Human Entertainment. Like I bought a lot of games, which is to say like a lot for sale from a guy. I met him in a parking lot because it had one of those repro carts of Clock Tower, the Super Nintendo, like of a translation of Clock Tower, which is such a cool looking game. I type Clock Tower as if that is going to give me the game, and not just Clock Towers.
Big Scissor Game.
Yes, the Big Scissor Games. Oh, it's such a cool little adventure game, but also horror game. There's a guy with scissors. But anyway,
I remember I played like one of the Clock Tower. I played like all the Clock Tower games. I really like 3. I know people don't like 3. I think it's good. Yeah, people don't like it because they just don't like camp, I guess.
horror is such a very specific, weird sort of genre. It's hard to describe, you know, like because some of it is like bad, but also that's what makes it good. Like it takes more hard swings than anything else, you know. It is all about hard swings aesthetically, and just like I'm looking at this up.
Because you mentioned like human entertainment, and I
Yeah.
was like, I drew like Moonlight Syndrome funny the other day, but
Yes, I saw that little guy there. And they did so much. R.I.P. to Human Entertainment, I believe. Yes, no, they were long. R.I.P. defunct in 2000. But they also like so many cool people went out to. They went out to make like so much cool stuff from them. You know, the Steel Battalion people came out of Human Entertainment. You know, Grasshopper came out of Human Entertainment, and Spike. Anyway. We were talking about this. What's it called? When I was talking about, we were talking about those old Japanese game dev guys who make all those video games. Your Hideo Kojimas, your Yu Suzuki's, and like how they could, and like they got all these huge, massive budgets, and they can make their real pervert stuff like Shenmue and Metal Gear because they could start at like Penguin Adventure or whatever. They like the way games started. They started inherently on low budget stuff because that's just the budget games were at, like low scale stuff. So they could have like track records and production things. And like, how often do you like start off on like small projects in games nowadays? Like where's that? It's like big or bust or something, you know?
every time I look at like game listings, they're like, just look for game dev job. It's always like, if you're a programmer, we would like you to have 5 years of experience of a language that's been out for 2 years, and we're gonna pay you like an intern, but which is not at all. But we want you to be like a senior programmer. Like it's
Right.
a lot of senior jobs. And I'm like, I think that the one choice is to go indie, or unless like you're like hyper specializing in like 3D modeling like really cool chairs, and then you can get hired for 3D modeling really cool chairs. That's not even a slight. I know, so like
Yeah.
environmental artists are like have
Right.
so much attention to detail.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, in film, you need a best boy, you know? You need good grips. Like there's like essential parts of large productions that aren't the flashiest, but they're jobs. They're important jobs still. Like, you know, could you imagine a fool that couldn't hold a boom mic and it kept dropping into frame constantly? What were they even
Tape it to like a dog or something.
Yeah. Someone that could hold it properly. Did they make... They worked on Shining games? Anyway, I'm looking at...
Oh yeah, they did for like 2 seconds. I think I can psychically gather what you're talking about.
Yeah, Grasshopper working on Shining games.
I have their one game like Contact for DS.
Yes.
And
Have you played it?
yeah, yes, I was gonna. It's like remember popping into my DS for the first time, like, yeah, I'm gonna play a funny video game, and for some reason, it's like the way it frames its starting point, because you are somebody possessing like this small child, if because meta game stuff. I don't know. It disturbed me. I was like, oh my God, the game knows I'm alive. Does it know when I have to go to the bathroom? Is it watching me? like psyching myself out because I'm playing this funny 15-hour action RPG.
Yeah.
But
Man, games... I love when video games are cool.
so many cool games. There's so many cool games. Everybody
Yes.
go play cool games.
Here's my advice. I bring it up on the show almost every week now. Go look up GQ Top 100 games. Look at that list. Throw them all in the garbage. Never play any of them. Play other games.
Play Rekinder and Hey Say Pistol Show by Perun, both English patched. You can actually find them hosted on itch.io. It will change your life. I promise. I'm so serious about it.
Yes, just go around and play just like a game you've never heard of. Look up, find that YouTube, find one of those YouTube channels that just has every single game. Click on a random timestamp and play that game.
play Baroque for Sega Saturn and then play the Wii and PS2 one because they're also really fun.
Yes. Be like, I like Dark Souls, so like play King's Field.
Yeah.
I've played like 30 FromSoft games and became a Kingsfield sicko. Actually, although technically I love Shadow Tower is like the king, honestly.
I enjoy Shadow Tower. I think that some people don't like Shadow Tower,
I don't know.
but I was like, I like Shadow Tower.
It has a mode where it has a versus mode in it. For no reason. Like, I don't know why, but I love that it has a versus mode where you can play as any of the enemies.
It's beautiful. Put me in there.
Yeah.
Why not?
There's little moles. There's that little mole guy that rolls around.
Have you played Enchanted Arms?
I have Enchanted Arms. I can't reach Enchanted Arms. Enchanted Arms is in this room. I have to
enchant your arms to reach Enchanted Arms.
I had to dig out my Xbox 360, but I did.
I love that game so much. It's the best RPG of all time.
I actually stopped my FromSoft travels actually at Last Raven because I started to catch up on stuff that I would have to like buy. That my legally copied ROMs wouldn't play on my computer anymore, is what I mean.
Legal ROMs from my main man, Lukashenko.
Yeah, my legal ROMs that I was only putting on my computer for 24 hours would have difficulties running my computer, and then I didn't want to pay like $80 for a copy of Armored Core 4 or get a PSVR so I could play Deracine. Yeah, we do not promote illegal ROMs here on Indiepocalypse Radio, but go play Kuon. Kuon's also cool, man. FromSoft made a lot of cool shit before they got stuck in making the Dark Souls forever.
You wouldn't download a game, would you?
Never.
No.
You would only buy them on cassette from your local indie seller.
But download all the cars you want.
Yes. Oh, if only I could have downloaded a new car. Oh, if I beat Last Raven, the next game to play on this theoretical chronology is Enchanted Arms.
Yeah. I love Enchanted Arms is so good. It's so funny. There's a guy with ADHD, and then his two boyfriends are like trying to get him to not eat food off the floor. And then Shiva from Final Fantasy, but way hotter, shows up. It's a good game.
I love RPGs. RPGs, they're so cool. Anyway, yeah, look at this. This Metacritic score, 69 out of 100. Sounds like a perfect score to me.
That's the perfect number. Oh, and there's a pizza in it. You can get a pizza demon. His powers are a power up, like boost his attack and explode.
People go out there, find games that have 70s and play them. 70 is where you live, baby. That's paradise. This is a 7 out of 10 space. 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s, trash games. Not worth your time.
I feel like a game that's like slightly crusty or rough around the edges,
Yeah.
I adore. They're so endearing to me because if there's cracks in it, I can see behind like the development process. You like hear the voice of the dev. You're like,
Yes.
oh, look at
Yeah.
you go. And if it's like perfectly polished, where do I pin my affection?
Right. It's like I don't need to play your approximation of a third string prestige TV show when I can watch Hell on Wheels if I want to do that. But yes, I don't necessarily interact with the chat. It's part of my thing. But yes, I will respect fellow Kuon lovers in the chat. Kuon is so cool. They were on a run there, like, and I guess like, I mean, the Souls games are also kind of a run, but they're just like the same run, but they're all cool.
Oh, and Echo Knight. That's my favorite. I love Enchanted Arms, but I think Echo Knight.
Oh my God, Echo! once a week when when I get myself a little treat, I Google Echo Night and I see if it's still way too expensive, and it is way too expensive.
It's such a shame it's so expensive and I can never play it ever.
I
Wow.
know. Good thing I already have the version. Well, when I say expensive, I want to buy the version that has the case. I of course already have the CD only that I burn into my computer every week if I wanted to every day I wanted to play it.
And then delete it after 24 hours. 'cause
Yes,
you're very
yes, I delete after
responsible.
24 hours. It was for temporary archiving purposes only. Do I have? For those who can't see, I'm digging to see if I can pull up my Echo Night. I'm like, where are my Echo Night gifts I have?
Oh, total. You know what we need to bring back? We have an avenue into PSP dev
Yeah,
because From Software did the Adventure Game Studio. And yes, it's all in Japanese, but no, it's not that hard to parse. You can pop out a visual novel or point and click adventure game pretty easy. Am I doing it right now? Possibly.
yeah,
But like, I don't know, we should do it. We should have more PSP games coming out using Adventure Game Studio. You can find it on the web by buying Adventure Game Studio. I don't think it matters. I don't think
right.
anybody knows it exists,
Yeah,
actually.
they also made I forget the name of it, Moonlight something or other. They're like Kingsfield maker.
I was playing like they still have fan games up, and I was playing one called Trigismiscus. Trismegistus. It has a try in it. Wait, Trismegistus. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm really soaking in the vibes. It's like a quiet puzzle game, and I think I've done at least 5 puzzles, which means I'm very good at the game.
Yeah, because those unfettered puzzles, not restricted by anyone telling you what to do or like worrying about an audience. Truly, like you run into the most unhinged stuff.
You make me feel like I have big brain. Yes, I put the red circle in the red orb. I've done it. I'm like a monkey, but better.
This monkey would know no better. That monkey still thinks Wire Mother is good. But monkeys aside, monkeys and Wire Mother just see now I'm all hopped up because usually I eat after this, but I ate before this, so now I'm like fired and ready to go all day. But um, anyway, I don't remember where my gifts are. RIP to my gifts. I don't remember where I saved them. If only I would remember. Maybe I put them in screenshots. Oh, I did put them in screenshots. Oh, but I think I was using a different. Oh, I was using a different platform for PSX. I was using like a PSX specific one, I think. So I do not know where. Metafen. Was I using Metafen? Anyway.
Thank you, Metaphor.
Thank you, Metafen. Prayer hands for Metafen. I don't remember where these are. I don't know why I'm getting into the weeds of looking for this very specific thing that only 3 people would see.
I can imagine it.
For-
I can imagine anything in my mind.
Yes, but that's besides the point. Video games, they're good, I think. Maybe.
They might be. I haven't played one. I wouldn't know. We have a PlayStation 2. We have a lot of game consoles in this house, but
Yeah.
in my house we got a PlayStation 2, and we modded it so that it can play Japanese games also.
The slim one's so easy to mod.
Such a blessing. Like, I admit I had not played I didn't have access to a PS2, so I couldn't play all the games I wanted. And now that I'm playing them, I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is the best console. Maybe this is where video games peaked.
Yeah,
Whoa.
honestly, I think they might have. Platform like console style video game. I think did truly peak around that era. I think since things have gotten too expensive.
I need everything. It's because everything looks nice, but it's like the stylized. There's so much style dripping out of that console. It's like oozing with graphic style.
Yeah,
It's glopping. I need to clean the carpet. It's terrible. Somebody help me.
it's getting everywhere, but it's so good.
This is gross now.
after this, folks, I didn't play any in this session, but I played it occasionally. After this, go treat yourself to find the sound. Go and treat yourself to the what's it called? Not Forever Kingdom. What was the one before Forever Kingdom? Evergrace. Go treat yourself to the Evergrace soundtrack. The Forever Kingdom soundtrack too, but the Evergrace soundtrack is out of control. Truly,
It's
incredible.
like having an anxiety attack at like a grocery store. It's so awesome.
It is. It's so incredible.
I remember I like popped in like Radiata stories like once, and then I was like running around and I'm like, how does this look like this? How can video games look like this? The textures are like just so good. I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
Yeah, there's. And folks, this isn't boomer nostalgia stuff. This is historical. This is history, folks. This is I don't know, games. Now I gotta play Radiata stories. Maybe I would just like binge a lot of PS2 like RPGs.
Oh, play Steambot Chronicles. It's like by Irem if you haven't tried it, but they did like the Disaster Report series
Okay.
and some pachinko games. They did like a adventure mode that's really fleshed out for like freaking pachinko something, patchy slot like 13 or 14 with it, and it's Steambot Chronicles probably like one of the best games ever made, and I'm not really joking. The way they go with the storylines and the world that you live in that game, magnificent. Also, your name is Vanilla Beans.
It's kind of like CyberConnect using a million Naruto games to fund their furry war games every two to 5 years.
Are they okay? I think about them so often. I'm like, are you allowed to do this? Are you guys okay? Please make more furry war games. It gives me life. But like, do you people have money? I was watching a Yuri J drama the other night, and they work at CyberConnect. It's called like Chaser Game W, and it's about some girls making a Yuri game, and there's like some lesbian drama occurring. But in the background, they got like posters for like Fuga, Melodies of Steel, and Dot Hack. And their logo is just a ripoff of like CyberConnect. And I'm like, funded by CyberConnect. Do they have money? Are they okay?
They make 10,000 Naruto games. It gives you the money to make your fugas. They made Tail Concerto, and then they're like, these things cost money. What if we make some dot hack games and some Naruto games for you?
Oh, I have a short anecdote.
Yes.
From when I was in gamer school in Seattle. And CyberConnect 2 came over, and like the president or like one of the game directors, I know he at least did Asura's Wrath, but they came over and he had a translator because they were recruiting people for their Fukuoka branch that was opening up. And this was, by the way, when they were just barely announcing Fuga. So they had like announced Fuga, they had announced like some gothic doll game that I have never seen again, and then like Tokyo Ogre Gate and something else I forgot. And I was like, oh my god, tank furry game. And they're like, does anybody in the class know any CyberConnect games? And I raised my hand and I was like, Solita Robo and Tail Concerto. And then the director guy was like, oh yes, and he looks you furry. And he like pointed to me.
They sense kinship. It's like two people noticing themselves from across a train station. They're like, I understand.
Oh, they got it, but yeah, and I was. They also said CyberConnect. If you can hear me, you said you were going to do cross-media projects and that you were going to do light novels for Fuga. So if you want somebody to write about French orphan dogs in a tank, I will do it. I will do it for you. For like 2 cents, please, I'm begging you. You can call me a furry as many times as you want. I don't care. Anyway, I hope he heard me. Probably not.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I do have a big, what's it called? Japanese dev old head contingency on Indiepocalypse Radio. Of course, that's why that's why the listener count's usually lower, because they listen on the podcast. They're on that JST. But all those old folks are listening, of course. But yeah, there was like so many. Anyway, this show often devolves into me saying there's so many video games out there. Like, and like game literacy feels so tiny if you're like online and listening to what people talk about, you know. But like whenever I'm on the show, everybody does know. Turns out all these developers making these cool, interesting games know a bunch of weird games, and are well off the beaten path already. You know, almost like it informs interesting design. You know.
Hmm.
But who am I to say? Who am I? Who am I to say if having an interesting palette of art in life informs you to make interesting life and art?
Everyone should go to itch.io because there's a lot of free games and you can play them for free.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
they're different and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I think, a perfect. We've hit our 2-hour mark, which is when we start to wrap the show up. So we're going to start wrapping it up. And to do so, might I ask, Violet? We mentioned, Kale. Just let me do one more check-in in case there were more questions. There were not more questions. If people were looking to find some of those free itch.io games, I hear you have some of those. Where can people find them?
Who, me?
Yes, you. Of course, you.
Bignastytruck.itch.io. Oh, could I also suggest people
Yes.
go to AROC and Palestinian Youth Movement, especially in advance of the global strike coming up?
Yes. Get to the any kind of timely things important, folks. You know how many this is one of those things I've been living in my entire life. It's like how many times do we have to bear witness to genocide? You know, and it's too many in a lifetime. And it can overwhelm you and think, well, I can't do anything, but you can do something, you know. It doesn't, you know, you can't, you don't have to be the hero of the world, but you can help. Like it's all a bunch of people like coming together and working at small parts, you know. I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah,
to...
both of those organizations share a bunch of actions happening all over.
And like it just like it is your part, from somewhere across the globe, you can just do your little part to it. Anyway, so you don't feel so the helplessness of it all. Kale, hello. I was like, oh, I got myself into a misery.
Oh no,
I got into thinking about the human condition and got myself into a misery spiral. Anyway.
Palestinian relief like itch.io bundle happening like in 2 seconds.
Yes, perfect.
They got
yes.
like, if you look it up, I think it's gonna be opening up on like the 21st question mark, and
Yes.
it donates to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund.
It's only like the second or third of those it's run so far. But I'm recomposing myself. Hello, welcome back to the show. Okay, where can people find the game? We've talked about a lot of games. Where can people find these games? Yes, thank you for nailing that, Kohyu. Thank you for getting that link to me to aforementioned Palestinian Relief Bundle. Oh, it's still open for you to submit stuff to, or it's not. I don't know. Submit your game, join here.
You could still submit. You can do it. I believe in you.
I can just do it right now. I have games. I also make games.
You didn't talk about your games.
Oh,
Dang.
I don't talk about my games on here, but I've made a tabletop RPG with a friend of the show. Yes, I can just put that up here. Look at that. Look at that.
You did it.
I did it. So long I've forgotten because it always feels weird submitting Indiepocalypse to this thing, not to this thing in particular, just to like bundles like that. Because it's a weird thing. You could have multiple opinions on bundles, you know, and how they are great for charities, but also are train collections of people in thinking itch games are only worth paying for when you get 700 of them in a $5 bundle. it kind of it's a mixed little thing, but everyone should still buy that $5 bundle. Speaking of ways to very easily help when you can. But let's get back to wrapping up this show.
Oh, okay. In order to
Yeah.
find Kale Chip's kid video games that have been programmed by lovingly by Sandy, and also with sometimes sound effects by Marcus, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go down the alleyway off 4th and Pike. There's gonna be a place called Crack Donald's. Cross the street. Don't make eye contact. You'll be fine, I promise. You go into the alleyway. There's a man named Lukashenko there. Also, don't make eye contact. You don't want to do that. He's got pink eye. Okay. There's a USB in the corner. He walks away. Wait until he's out of the alleyway. Pick up the USB. Start walking. Somebody follows you. You don't know me. I don't know you. It will lead you to a link called Kale Chips, I think with a hyphen between the kale and the chips, .itch.io. There is many video games. I have gay shit on there. There's something about anime probably. You'll enjoy them. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Perfect. And there is a dash.
Yes, there is a dash. Kale dash chips. I don't remember putting that in there.
For people,
wasn't me.
For people all around the world, you can also just go to Kale dash chips. You don't even need to go down that alley.
I mean,
but that's
like okay, I get commission from that.
Yeah, that's the authentic way to do it.
The alley seems important.
That's how I joined Kill Chips.
Yeah.
We got like a blood pact going.
Oh, someone's suggesting in the game clubs. The game club is dead because I do not have the patience. My game club is I come on this show and chat with people. Anime teacher gonna pop up in computer. I was talking to a friend. He was telling me about. It might have been the Vinegar Entertainment, where we talked that Cameron Kunzelman had mentioned on the show yesterday. I think he was saying they got a bunch of there was a weird period of people were making weird art in pornography because there was money. There was money in it, and I remember stories about people would make. They would get to make their anime, but they have to make it a porn one. So they would just okay, I'll put some sex scenes into my anime that I want to make because that's how I get money.
I watched Kite when I was a kid with my sister because it was on Comcast On Demand, and years later I learned it was originally hentai because they just cut out all the hentai bits.
Right, and that's how they would get funding for stuff. I just read A Feast Unknown, and that was Vinegar Syndrome, yes, and that was in a porno publisher, or whatever, and people would just write weird stuff because they had money, and it got me thinking what if there's money in smut and you can just use that to fund weird stuff, but they just say you have your obligatory here's your anime titty so that people will give you tons of money and you get $80 billion on Patreon. It's an exciting world.
I think that the studio is called Pink Pineapple or something. They made action flicks that were porn, but then they recut them so that they weren't porn and they were just really cool action flicks.
Yeah, there's that's how you get your money, Sometimes you make 80 Naruto games, sometimes you just make porn. But ultimately
CyberConnect too. Just
right. Sometimes I don't know what I want to do with those cybers.
Sometimes you make Naruto porn.
Yes, I don't know what they're connecting their cybers to. Not interested. But yeah, that is you got to pay people at studios. But no, we're trying to close the show. That's me.
Do you think that CyberConnect 2 should make a Naruto fighting game where they canonize Sasanaru? They could make so many big bucks. They could make 50 Fugas.
They could make 50 Fugas. I feel like you're getting closer in Japanese studios where maybe sometimes I'll pick up a manga, just a random manga, and I'll read it and they'll be like, there's a gay person in this manga, and this isn't even about that.
No, yeah, there's a lot of more queer characters that are just there because they're queer, and it's awesome.
Just incidentally showing up. And
everyone go read and watch Skip to Loafer.
Yeah, they don't feel like they're sanctioned off in this weird space where it doesn't feel real, like it's a fantasy world. Anyway, it's cool, yes. I've heard a lot of people talk about Skip and Loafer. When I learned
Makes
two,
me
man,
feel joy.
when I fired up my kanji up, I learned two meant and a whole world opened up in front of me. I go, it all makes sense now.
I get it now. Hoshi no Toke no Little. Actually, Glacier Books was gonna publish a good kind of gay thing, and they were like an old retro like shoujo manga called Hoshi to Toke no Little. And then I don't know what happened. It's been a century. Please, Glacier Bay.
Yes,
I need it. The paneling is so good.
right. That's what I'm waiting for some indie manga publisher to pick up on, because I bet there's plenty of stuff in the indie space too. You know. And
There's a magnificent. You know a good doujinshi it's considered a doujinshi, and I don't think you can get it like physically in English. At least it's
Yeah.
not in English, but you know where to find it. Wink.
Yes.
It's called Game Club, and it's about making games. And it's so interesting. It's difficult to describe, but it's about high schoolers in a club for making video games and how they wrestle with the world and communication. And you should just read it without knowing anything about it. It's good.
Yeah, just fire up your favorite legal reader of choice. Oh, I like the art. Just fun little art.
It's very charming. The Mozo Crystal is great. It feels so very realistic. You watch the kids like make a shmup, and the president, Prez, she's just like me for real, because she overwrites the lore like over the top for this dinky little shmup. And there she's like, okay, here's what all of the pixels in this thing mean, and here's how the people got on this ship, but you need to read the manual before you read the game because we couldn't fit it into the game. Also, we didn't add a scoring system because we thought it was boring. And they're like, what's the point of the game then? Just like a lot of kids who have big dreams but don't actually understand game design, but also don't need to, but also other stuff.
We need more game developers that don't understand game design.
Mm-hmm.
Throw everything at the kitchen. Throw everything into the kitchen sink?
Yes.
Trying to think of how that works. What the saying is.
I don't want to add
Throw
to
everything against the wall and see what sticks.
There you go.
Need to add to the reading list. Anyway, where I have to end the show before you trick me to starting to talk about comics, and I start talking about Last Gasp and just Dementia 21 or whatever. But we're closing down the show. There was another one I thought you were going to mention, because I have an untranslated manga in my once again not within arm's reach, but nearby. Because somebody, and I'm going to say I don't have this, but I'll learn Japanese and buy it if I have to. But somebody out there, my plea to manga publish, someone publish. Oh God, I'm forgetting the name of it. Oh God, I'm blanking on the name of it.
No, you have to tell me. Come on.
The aunt who adopts her niece.
Ikokuniki?
Ikokuniki, yes.
So good. Everyone read it. Actually,
yes, it's like truly incredible. Like the aunt is the only character in my entire life where I've been like just like me for real. Like just walking out of a room and there are strangers in my house that I don't know and I want to leave. And those particulars of like having difficulty speaking to people, but also not that being everyone. Sometimes you're great and you can go out and hang out nonstop. It's complicated. Also, that's another one of those things where just kind of queer people hanging out in that. Just like having a good time. Or not always the good time. Not a lot of people in Ikokuniki necessarily having a good time. But they're doing their best. Yeah, it is truly like incredibly good at like compartmentalizing like grief and stuff like that, and like how different people deal with grief and deal with other people. I have a panel of that I post constantly, or I think about constantly, as it relates to art, and it makes me think. And that one I do have handy though. It is. Can I post it? How am I going to put it? I'm going to put it on the stream, and then I'm going to wrap up by saying all the bullshit that I do.
Yay!
Yes, it is this one where it's like I like the feeling that you're trying to convey something.
Yeah.
Then like that is like I found so hard to like convey the kind of art that I like, and like that is like that encapsulates so much of the kind of art that I like. It's just like I like the feeling that you're trying to convey something. Oh, you know what I can do? I can use my third one, and I can stick it in there. Let me grow you bigger. Let me turn this guest into no longer a guest, but into that screen cap. With all these other important things like if the Joker and Shadow the Hedgehog, important pictures I have saved on my computer. There you are. There's the panel. Hello there. But yes, that is like more than anything. I just want art that makes it feel like there's a person inside of it, and that they're like. I would infinitely prefer someone trying something than like succeeding at making something that feels like a product. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings are complicated. Right, my stuff, Indiepocalypse. You know what that is, maybe. If you don't know Indiepocalypse, it's an anthology of games. You check it out. You play games. If you should go and buy it. That's what I think. If you buy issue number 46, all these nice people here might get $5 to $6 eventually PayPal to them from me. Were you? I think you were recent recipients of that even within the last month or so, right? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bought like a second air fryer.
With that Indiepocalypse cash. But yes, no, like because Indiepocalypse it gives royalties forever, you know. That's the dream of it, the dream of paying devs money. If you would like to be one of those devs, you can go to indiepocalypse.com/submit. Submissions are always open for your video games, whether you've made them or plan to make them or whatever. You can also sign up for the Patreon, indiepocalypse.com/Patreon. That's like a useful subscription kind of thing. Or you can also, if at the $5 tier, you can get just the commission games. You know, did you know that Indiepocalypse commissions brand new games every single month? It does. It pays developers to make a new game. And I say, make whatever weird shit you want to make. I don't care. Just give me a game at the end of 3 months, and they do. And it's cool. And like so many of them are cool games, you know. There's like when I say so many of them, I mean all of them, of course. It's like, yeah. To toot my own horn, you won't find anyone else, paying to publish these sorts of games. And then, yes, the more you pay the more you pay Indiepocalypse, the less these nice devs have to work in the coal mines.
It's so dark down here.
But if Indiepocalypse were profitable,
So
yes, these nice devs wouldn't have to make money. I wouldn't have to make back the Indiepocalypse money in coal. If I just made it back in Indiepocalypse sales. You can also get physical editions of Indiepocalypse at indiepocalypse.com/tapes. Get Indiepocalypse inside of a cassette case. It's a cool thing. If you're a game dev and you want your games inside of a similar thing, and you're like, I want to buy them at cost, or I want you to sell them for me. You can do all of that at indiepocalypse.com/game club. There's also like 8 games up there now. I just added like 5 more of them yesterday. What was it? Battle Rockets and Ultra Mission in a collection. There was an Outcry is up there.
An Outcry is great.
Yes, and you can get. I made 20 of an Outcry to send to Quinn K. For believe it or not, a local art event. So they're great if you're like a dev and it's like you're like, oh, I don't have a game to do for. Bundle a bunch of games up together. Call them a short story collection, a short game collection. You know. Anyway, I think they're cool. I think they should be no different than the way a musician puts They're music on a CD. It's the same thing. Every game dev should just have a physical edition, and they should just be able. If you want to know how to do it yourself and you want to cut out the middleman of me, just message me and I'll be like, "Here's what I do. Here's my process, and I'll help you through it if you need it, if you want it." Because this, I think I make about 30 cents or whatever on each like game. It's not here. It's not. We're not here.
Big bucks.
Yeah, big bucks. So once I sell like 30,000 of them, I only need to sell. 1 second. Let me do the quick table math of how many of these things I need to sell in order to break even on Indiepocalypse. This, of course, being my scheming money making venture to to get the game devs. Hello, welcome from Coast. We're wrapping it up. It doesn't sound like it, but I am wrapping it up. I just have to do quick math. 0.56 divided by 30. Oh yeah, I only need to sell. Oh no, sorry, I did the math wrong. That I should have been 0.30. 1184.7.56. If you want the exact amount of money that I am that I have lost on Indiepocalypse, it's $11,847.56. I only have to sell 39,000 tapes. That's it. No big deal. Do that in a weekend, right? Anyway.
Good, dude. You put some elbow grease in there.
Oh yeah, just gotta do that real quick. The point, I feel like it's. I don't know. I don't know why I have to convince people that it's not a money making scheme. Like it's. Like there are these. I think it's just I spent 2.5 years being online about it, and it just kind of like builds that weird defensive shell around you. But of course it's not anyway. That's it. I think that's all my URLs. I don't have any more of them. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Marcus, Sandalfin, Kale Chips, Violet, thank you all for being here on the show with me. Thank you for making games. Thank you for submitting them. Thank you for being part of, all of it. I love doing this. Despite what my business cards say, I love the medium of games a lot. And it's why I do this. Thank you. Wait, I remembered. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out.
Thanks for coming to my podcast, guys.
Yes. Thanks for stopping by my podcast. Believe it, I didn't have to tell you about mattresses or weird mail order boxes of food or anything. I'm sure ads played, but I can't do anything about that. I don't have control over that. Let me tell you about supplements, and I don't know what Joe Rogan talks about besides being bald. Or like he goes, "Huh, yeah."
Horse tranquilizer,
oh,
I think.
Doesn't he just go, "That's fascinating." Oh yeah. No matter what.
Oh, no way.
Oh no way.
The monkeys and the chimps are insert something that you should not say in public.
Right. Oh yeah. You're so smart, Elon. You're so smart.
Insert cough because weed stink.
So full of weed. So dank in here. No, never. I will.
Well, what if Joe Rogan made games though?
They'd be terrible.
They would be like horrible corporate sellouts, and would suck.
No, don't
Wait,
join.
Doesn't he already have one?
Yeah.
No.
Is there a Fear Factor video game? I feel like there's a Fear Factor video game on the PS2. That sounds like a thing that's real.
I think there's a game on the Wii/PS2.
It's on the GBA.
Oh, that's good. That's for the good shit. That's for the shovelware line.
Oh my god, we don't have time to start talking about the Sims games on the GBA. The true gems that they are.
I pooped on the floor so many times in Sims Herbs because I forgot to get a toilet, and I couldn't afford one.
Okay, we said we do not have time to talk about Sims Herbs.
Okay, stop.
This will be on the show for another hour and a half. Those games are cool. People should play them. They're so weird.
Invited people over and they kept pooping on the floor and yelling at me.
We've all been there.
What?
Which side of it? Being yelled at or doing the yelling?
Who's to say?
It's so much. Anyway. Now we're actually ending the show. Thank you all for being here. I would say maybe join the Discord, but don't, because I like it when people join the Discord. This is my thing. Joining the Apocalypse Discord, but don't talk in it. Become part of my second mailing list. There's technically a part that's just for the devs. So devs in there get a secret flag for a little dev-only channel. A Indiepocalypse only contributor channel that also no one ever uses. But if someone used one, that would be the one, because it feels like it's pre-filtered. But I'm too busy. I'm very busy. I don't have time to manage a Discord and interact with the Discord. I don't know. Rogan Centaur. I don't have time to. I don't have time to think about Joe Rogan anymore. Yeah, I don't know. That's the end of the show. Wrapping it up. Follow people on different websites. I'm on a bunch of websites that I don't post on because I keep inventing more projects to myself. Did you know I'm making a game that's due by June? Invent a bunch of work for yourself with deadlines. That way you have to do it. Goodbye, everyone.